All right, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about a new stance. Mostly we've been looking at front stance and a little bit of sparring stance or kicking stance. But today we're going to learn back stance. It is sort of the analog or the opposite of front stance. With front stance, we talk a lot about the stability of it. So I've got a lot of weight going forward and my feet are relatively static, but I've got a lot of good support for energy coming from this line. With back stance, rather than a lot of stability, I want to tend to have a lot of mobility. So the feet are going to be very, very different. The weight's going to be very, very different, kind of the opposite of our front stance. So for back stance, I want my feet to be in an L. The heels of both feet are making an L on the ground. My back foot 90 degrees, my front foot facing the forward line. I've got some extension out this way, so maybe like 2 foot lengths forwards, and then the weight is sitting back on my back leg, about 80% on the back leg, maybe 20% on the front leg. Don't make it too light, that's a different stance. It still has some weight on this line. My attention is forward, so where my toes on the front foot are pointing, that's also where my head is pointing. My shoulders and my hips are a little bit canted this time. With the front stance, it was very, everything facing the same direction. With back stance, because this hip is so open, it's going to have a little bit of that diagonal. You can do this high or you can do this low. So if I get into a lower back stance, the weight is still about 80% on the back leg, but there's a little bit more length between my feet, and so my weight sits down a little bit more. Our style is not super big on forcing those low stances, especially not when you're learning. So for now, this is perfectly fine, right? There's a little bend in the front leg, about 20% on the front, 80% on the back. Definitely some bend in the back leg as well, because I'm sitting into those hips. Head is upright, shoulders are back, but hips and shoulders are turned slightly to the corner. I'm facing this way. All of our techniques work the same way. So if I was doing middle punch, I would point, I would chamber. As I step, I turn my front foot out, slide the back foot in, and then forward like a C step. This is pointing, so I turn the front foot open and punch. For my short turn, I look over my back shoulder, back foot turns in, front foot comes in and then goes out. So with the front stance, I took my back foot, stepped it across. With back stance, that back leg is going to step in, step back out. So I take a small turn of the heel, or of the on the heel, and that way I can pivot my back leg, get the toes in the right position, so that I have my toes facing forward for back stance. So moving, I open, step, step, open, step. When I short turn, I look, foot in, foot back out. I look, foot in, foot back out. For the 3/4 turn and the quarter turn and the long turn, again, all those same rules kind of apply. So my front foot is going to move for my long turn. I look over the front shoulder, step out, look over my front shoulder, step out. For the quarter turn, I do half of that. Right? I look, foot in, foot out. For the 3/4 turn, this is where I'm actually going to take that step around the back. So I look where I want to turn, my back foot steps towards that direction. And I'm always ending up in that L stance with my weight properly distributed. Just a couple of examples to show the different techniques that we've been doing. All your different blocks, a couple of different strikes with that moving forward and back. So, in back stance, let's say middle punch, I point, punch. Sliding the weight forward, again, I'm keeping that low ceiling, short turn. I want to make sure that I'm not bobbing up and down. I also want to make sure I don't put too much weight on that front foot. Like with front stance where moving backwards, I was really concerned that you don't throw the weight back and then snap forward. Sort of the opposite with back stance. As I move forward, the tendency sometimes is to overdo it and then have to snap back. For now, really focus on keeping the weight on that back leg. As you're retreating, it's easier because now I get to throw my body weight in the direction that I'm moving. So again, sort of the inverse for front stance. Let's look at some blocks. So low block, still going to the outside of that thigh. I point, I chamber, step, block, point, chamber, step, block. Short turn. Outside middle block. Inside middle block. Short turn. Knife hand strike, where now I'm chopping just like the inside middle block, but I extend out, palm up, a little bit of cup to the palm. So back stance. One new thing as well to look at today, some blocks that we typically see done in back stance. These are called the double knife hand blocks. So these are basically going to be your outside middle block, but instead of palm in and with a closed fist, I'm going to open the palm up and turn it palm out. So whereas before I was palm down, rotating to palm in with a closed fist, now I'm going to start palm up. And it's going to be right at my solar plexus. So just underneath your sternum, kind of holding that cup shape, just like if you were cupping on the top of your head, same as my knife hand strike, right underneath my solar plexus. It starts here as I do my block. It's rotating out and turning at the forearm. I end in about the same position that my outside middle block would be, but again, rotation of the forearm is different. It's a double knife hand block though, so my backhand is going to get involved as well. The first one we're going to do is double middle. So while this hand is chambering at the solar plexus, my opposite hand is reaching straight back, and this is palm down. As I do my block, I'm rotating them both together so that this is now palm up. My right hand is now palm up, right here at that solar plexus. So palm down to palm up to palm out. Here. As I step, I'm chambering. This is already in position. This one's just going to reach way behind me. And they snap forward together. So reaching way behind, snapping forward together. And as that foot goes forward, that's when I'm thinking about that block. If I short turn, same idea, right? I've got my good back stance. One hand, my lead hand is doing my block. Back hand is cupping at that solar plexus. If I was retreating, I take a big step and then block. Reach way behind, then I block. So that's double middle knife hand block. We also have double high and double low. So double high knife hand block is just like doing my standard high block, but again, the palm is open. Chamber is the same place. So all of these are going to chamber at the same solar plexus location. But the difference is my back hand. So instead of reaching straight out, which gives me this middle line, now I'm going to reach down. And as I block, it comes up and almost like shuffle step displaces this hand to go up. When it was in the middle line, it goes middle. If it's low, knocks the hand up. If it's high, knocks the hand down. So that's how you can tell which block is coming because of the chamber hand or the pointing hand. So low to high, I reach low, block high, reach low, block high, reach low, block high. Moving backward, reach low, block high. And then the opposite, I reach high, block low. Reach high, block low. This is just like my normal low block, but palm is open. Again, chamber for the actual block is always right here at the solar plexus. It's just the pointing hand that changes. So this is up high, drops low. Up high, drops low. Moving backwards, double low knife hand block. And for all of these, looking at that back stance, about 80-20 with that L feet. Cool, work on it.